Alright guys, as you can see, we're in the shop today. It's filthy dirty. It's been a hard week of doing maintenance and stuff. But it is Sunday, and yes, we do have to work on Sunday. So we're going to be working on this bad boy today, and I'll show you why. It's got the typical Kohler. It's got the Kohler Command 25 Pro. Typical Kohler problem of leaking head gasket. We have already done this side, put it all back together. Ran out of time, otherwise I would have done both sides. But as you can see, this is how much oil we're leaking just from it sitting here. So we're gonna take this side apart today and see if we can't get it done. So I will go through this step by step a little bit, show you a little bit of the process. The air cleaner, exhaust, intake, stuff like that has to come out. And then we'll probably pressure wash it up and see what's going to happen. And make sure that it goes back to being sealed. A little painting project that we got for a customer. That side's done. We got to flip it over and do the other. And we're going to be using straight Kohler parts. Genuine parts. Those are, I ordered them. Comes with your exhaust gaskets, O-rings, depending on what model and stuff that you have. You know, it's gonna be a fun day. I'm ripping this thing all the way down. It's, you know, $30 or whatever for the gasket set, but probably 5 hours of turning a wrench to tear it all back apart, put it back together again. So, you know, all right, let's get to it. All right, we finally got it ripped apart. As you can see, it's pretty gummed up, been leaking for a bit. Got a little oil down in the cylinder, right there. So I guess it was leaking right there. Probably see it better without. Yep, it's all tarred up, gummed up. There's the valves in the head. They're pretty gummed up too, so it's been leaking for a while. So I'll have to get to work here and get this cleaned up, and then I'll show you as we put the new stuff on. And yeah, we took the exhaust off. I did not take the intake off. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it up in there, but I just pulled the bolt and then slid the head out. And then hydraulic lifters, so we don't really have to set much when we get back, when we get done with it. But we'll pull it apart and see what we can do. As you can see, it's all cleaned up. New gaskets on. Head's cleaned up, but we got quite a bit of junk in there. I'm going to clean that up a little bit more, get some of those metal flakes out of there from me cleaning the surface. You know, and most of that on the piston will burn off when I start it. That's a brand new plug and stuff like that that's in there. But you know, you can just tell how much of a mess this has made. Like I said, I probably only got hour into it now. I might have like 3 hours total into this by the time it's all said and done, to get one side done. Wouldn't take too much longer to do the other side, because once you're this far, you already got the main stuff off. So maybe another 15-20 minutes, something like that. Nothing big. So but yeah, it's going good. I'm gonna put the head back on, and we're finished cleaning up those valves a little bit and put the head back on, and we'll go from there and retorque it down and put things back together. And I'll come back to you guys when when I'm ready to start it, and we'll see how it runs. And then obviously we'll change the oil. So hold on a minute. All right, we put the head back on, and I just want to note in the package here, what you get with it are the new nuts, the new washers, the new stuff like that. So make sure you put them on, and then I use a torque wrench, torque these down to 15 foot-pounds first, and then and on a 4 bolt you do this one, this one, this one, and then this one, and do it crisscross like that. And so I went to 15 first, and then I went to 30 in that neighborhood. If you have the other heads, you would do work from the inside out. And now we'll put the valves back in, and since these are hydraulic lifters, then you have these, and you just snug these down. I don't remember the torque spec right now, but I'll figure that out. All right, now that we got the lifters and stuff back in, I'll go through some of this here right quick if we can see it. I put this shield back on. Obviously, you can see up there in the upper right, there's a bolt that goes up there over the plastic. This shield back here, I just bent up out of the way, and then another bolt goes through both of them, down through there. And all these bolts, to take this whole thing apart, these are 8mm. They're either 8 or 10s, except for the exhaust, which is 1/2 inch, and the head bolts are 1/2 inch too, same size as the exhaust. And then you have another bolt that goes in the side of there. You have to take off your throttle control, which is 2 10mm bolts there. And what I showed you earlier, up here, 2 10mm bolts here to get to your intake. The intake's an actual, they have 2 long bolts that are 8mm, plain to see. You can pull them right out, and then everything just slides basically out. So right now, all I'm going to do is just reassemble this, put all these bolts back in, put the guards back on. And I believe it was like 15 pounds, foot-pounds or something like that, 15, 20 for these. I just snug them. And I don't know if you can see down in there. Probably not. The only thing is the ball on the end, you want to make sure that it just sits down into the center of that valve. So that's all we're going to do is just finish putting this stuff back together, put the exhaust back on it, tighten the bolts up. I really don't go off torque specs too much. That's just me. I know I'll probably get a bunch of hate comments, but everything just goes basically snug. Torque specs on most of the small engine stuff is always, in the neighborhood of 20, 30 pounds. So, which is, don't crank on it, just snug it up. And, a little more than hand tight, but, if you turn wrench enough, if you're going to do a project like this, you probably are already comfortable with doing stuff. So, you know what that means for the most part. And if you don't, play with it. Just don't crank on it. It's easy to strip stuff out. Once you do that in the head, you'll be done. Or get yourself a torque wrench and torque everything to, 20 to 30 foot-pounds. They say on these head bolts, that it depends on the model. It depends on who you are. It depends on, and this comes straight from Kohler. They're anywhere between 28 and 34 foot-pounds. So I just picked a happy medium and went with 30. You can do your research on that, and that's what Kohler says in the manuals, 28 to 34. And and they give all the torque specs for all that, but anybody who's worked on stuff long enough basically will know that, you don't have to torque everything. You just have to make sure that it's good. And we do have new exhaust gaskets to go on, but I don't think these don't look bad. So I'll just save them in case for later, if I have to pull the head back off or something. But this motor's got, I think, about 1,300 hours on it. The motor itself's got, I think, 3,300. They replaced the motor when it was somewhere around 2,000, 1,800 hours original. And So now we're doing head. It's about time, for head gaskets, and we'll get about another. Hopefully, with this, we'll get about another 400-600 hours out of it, and just by doing head gaskets, and then the motor will puke out again, and maybe by that time the deck will be shot, and I'll junk it and buy a new one. So I'm not sure if you want to know anything else, you can always leave me a message, make a comment, and I'll try to explain everything to the best of my ability, of what I did and how I did it. When you're in the lawn care field, it's, you always have to, save yourself a little bit of money and do your own work, especially when it's $120 an hour now for shop fees to have somebody, turn wrench on your thing, and who knows how long it's going to take. However long it takes them is what you get billed for, basically. So, I'll take a Sunday afternoon and do it myself, and make sure that it's, good to go for next week. And really, I've never had any problems. I didn't have any problems after doing the other side. Actually, everything ran really, really great for the first week. And then I started noticing a big oil leak. A couple of our customers have big hills. And I would go to pull those hills almost straight up and down and while mowing, and the whole thing would just puke out, almost die. And I was like, okay, it's time. So, not too much mowing would get done otherwise. So hold on a minute and I'll finish reassembling some of this, and I'll show you where the bolts go and stuff like that. I'll reassemble some and then show you how it looks. It's just hard for me to record right now while doing it and actually having you be able to see what I'm doing without having another person here to help me record. Hold on. All right, and we're back. So I'll show you what we got up to date. Bolt here. These two bolts go in, hold this main bracket. A lot of people will tell you that you need to take all this off. And like I said, I'm not a pro, so I don't want to mess with any of the linkages or nothing like that. So we got that plate put back on. We got this cover put back on, and it's just this bolt, and then one up in there. See if I can get a light on it. Yeah, spark plug. Yeah, that one right there, that holds your wire for your regulator. And that's all that holds that one plate on. So, well, and then obviously one up here. But all I got left to do is put the fuel pump back on, put these back on, put the valve cover back on, and put the valve cover back on, these two bolts, and then the exhaust, which is laying over there, and the air cleaner, which is just two top bolts up here on both sides, and then one hose clamp to hold it onto the intake. So, and then two 10mm bolts here. That's how I got to my intake, my two intake bolts that were 8mm. And so it's coming together. All right, guys. We have most of it all put back together. We're ready to get it started to see if it'll fire for the first time. So, like I said, you just have your 4 exhaust bolts, 2 on each side. And then I have one that is up underneath there, if you can see it, which is a pain. That's about the only one that's a pain in the butt, but it's back together. So I guess we'll sit here and I'll see if it'll pop off here, and before I put the air cleaner back on. Well, maybe I'll just put the air cleaner on here real quick, and then I'll get back with you, and then we'll try to start it. All right, we got it all back together. Oh crap. I did check the oil real quick. It was low. So I put a little bit of oil in it just for the initial fire off. Make sure my plug wire's on. All right, we'll see if we did any good. If it fires right up, that means we did, and it's got compression and everything else, and we'll see if it smokes, or it should blow a little black from all that black soot and burnt oil and stuff that was on the head and the piston. So that's what we're looking for. Let's see what happens. Gotta remember we had the intake off, so. And it's gonna start a little rough on that side anyway, but I'll move it forward here, see if it leaks. And it should smooth it out the more it goes. And I bet if I go rev it up, I bet you we'll get a bunch of black smoke coming out. We got a little bit. I don't know if you guys got to see that, but that's about it. It's starting to run, and I'm going to pull it forward, let it run a little bit, and then I'll let it run. We're going to pull it out here, let it run, and see if it drips any oil, and then I'll get back with you. All right, guys, we let her run for a little bit. I went out, mowed that little piece over there, enough to warm her up. Brought her back in. There's not a drop one. Now I just need to wash it off, make sure there won't be, all that other stuff coming off there dripping anymore, and make sure all my oil leaks are fixed though. After running it, worked out pretty good. Pops right off. Have a good one.